Time for the business news now on the programme. Stephen's joining us once again here on set. How many times have we said this, Stephen? The latest you've got on the US-China trade dispute.
And I don't think it'll be the last time either.
Not, you're right.
The US Treasury Secretary is in Beijing for talks due to start tomorrow, aimed at avoiding an escalation of trade tensions between the world's two largest economies. The South China Morning Post reporting today that President Xi will meet Stephen Mnuchin and top American trade official Robert Lighthizer on Friday. Their goal to find an agreement by March 1st, after which the US has threatened to more than double the tariffs on $200 billion worth of Chinese imports. Although President Trump has suggested the deadline could slip if progress is made in discussions.
The 10% or $200 billion goes up to 25% on March 1st. And so far, I've said don't do that. Now, if we're close to a deal where we think we can make a real deal and it's going to get done, I could see myself letting that slide for a little while. But generally speaking, I'm not inclined to do that. Okay?
Well, any move away from an escalation in the trade war is good news for the markets. Let's see how trading has begun today in Europe. Main markets, London, Paris and Frankfurt, all opening up at the start of trading. Sort of dual good news investors are playing with. They've got progress in the trade talks, but also the possibility of avoiding that second government shutdown in the United States. Car makers among the gainers in Europe at the start of trading. We'd similar optimism in Asia earlier in trading as well, helped by that apparent softening of the deadline on trade talks. Shanghai and Hong Kong both up over 1%, but the Nikkei in Tokyo also seeing gains on the Kospi in Seoul as well. We're also keeping an eye on oil prices for you today, as prices have been rising steadily in the past 24 hours. That's after the oil cartel OPEC said that oil output from its members fell by almost 800,000 barrels a day in January. That's compared to a month earlier. Prices moving higher on Tuesday, continuing that climb today. Brent crude, which is the international benchmark for oil, trading for just under $63 a barrel. Let's turn next to Belgium, where a general strike has shut down the country's airspace. All flights in and out of the country have been cancelled since last night. The stoppage will continue until 10 p.m. local time this evening. Rail, postal and medical services also being affected by the strike, which was called by unions seeking wage increases. Georgina Robertson reports.
Going nowhere. Aeroplanes will remain grounded at Belgium's airports today.
We know that there will be substantial roadblocks around the airport that will hinder the arrival of passengers. And also, we know that air traffic would be badly affected. We had no choice but to close the airport.
This strike goes far beyond the airport, as Belgium's Air Traffic Control Authority has announced that no commercial aircraft will be taking off or landing in the country on Wednesday. It's not just the air sector that will be affected. National rail services will be down to a minimum service. Police, postal services, schools, hospitals and rubbish collection will also be affected. At the heart of the movement, a pay dispute. The breakdown of discussions caused by wage increases being capped at 0.8%, which falls far short of the union's demand for 1.5%. For international rail passengers, it's thought that Eurostar and Thalys will still run. The full cost of this national strike is emerging. The airports alone predicting losses to the tune of €13 million.
Brexit is the first test of a new global order, according to the head of the Bank of England. Mark Carney telling an audience in London that a no-deal Brexit would be a shock for the UK economy and would send a signal about the prospects of refounding globalisation. He says no deal would hit living standards in the UK and that a fall in the value of the pound would not solve the economy's problems. But if a successful Brexit deal is found, Mark Carney says it could lead to a new form of international trade. The video game maker Activision Blizzard is to cut almost 800 jobs, or 8% of its workforce. That's as the company expects its revenues to drop by a fifth this year to just over $6 billion. The maker of Candy Crush and Call of Duty is suffering from the popularity of rival game Fortnite. These layoffs come despite profits at Activision jumping to $1.8 billion last year. And finally from me, unions at Ryanair aren't happy that the airline's CEO could be in line for a bonus worth €99 million. The company issued share options to Michael O'Leary on Friday. They'll be worth that sum if he manages to boost the airline's profitability to €2 billion over the next 5 years. That'd be double its current level. The Dutch pilots union VNV among those criticising the move, telling the Financial Times the bonus would encourage Michael O'Leary to continue what it called his unsustainable way of dealing with his employees. No fan of Michael O'Leary, and I don't think he's much of a fan of unions either, Stuart.
No, that's certainly true. 99 million.
That'll do.
Right, for some minute.